on KBTX, your news leader. This is News 3 at 6.
Big money, big decisions, and possibly big risk for the city of College Station. We are continuing to follow a situation at Texas A&M where a gunman has been reportedly spotted on campus. The hot topic across the country this summer was health care reform and how members of Congress would vote on the issue. District Attorney Bill Parham tells us he was ready to go to trial, but today that changed. The man convicted of the most infamous crime in Burleson County is now a free man. Texas officials are preparing for Alex's arrival. Governor Rick Perry issued a disaster proclamation. The Army officer accused in last November's deadly shooting rampage at Fort Hood returned to the base today for his first court appearance. And today's St. Joseph Health Scene report, protein drinks are all the rage. And coming up next, why the U.S. government has decided to let stem cells be used for medical treatments for the very first time.
Now on KBTX, your news leader, this is News 3 at 6.
Big money, big decisions, and possibly big risk for the city of College Station. The city is planning to buy the building that houses the Arts Council of the Brazos Valley. The price tag for the modern building is more than $500,000, payable over a 5-year span. Despite their estimated $1 to $1.5 million budget deficit, city officials say it's a sound investment because it will save them money in the long run. Taxpayers are already footing the bill for much of the Arts Council's debts. We are continuing to follow a situation at Texas A&M where a gunman has been reportedly spotted on campus. At this point, no one has been arrested and police are still searching. This is what we do know at this point was that a bus driver around 4 o'clock this afternoon spotted a white man wearing green clothing and a backpack and holding an AK-47 outside of Rudder Tower. Now, code maroon alerts have gone out throughout the afternoon advising students and staff to stay inside. We are joined on the phone by a student, Janet Duran. She's a student at Texas A&M. Janet, thanks for joining us.
Sure. I'm glad to speak with you.
Well, thank you so much. Janet, where are you? Are you on campus right now?
Yes.
How long do you think you're going to be there? Are you sheltering in place like the code maroon is advising?
Yes, and I'm very impressed with. We're just hanging together with my classmates.
Okay, Janet. Well, stay tight. We will continue to keep you updated. And
okay, yeah, we've got you on. Yeah, we've got you on the internet, so we're watching you guys, and I've been bragging about y'all. So,
okay.
Anyway,
well, Janet, thanks again for joining us. We really appreciate it. And we want to remind you at home that you can find the very latest on air and online at KBTX.com. We will recap the day's events at Texas A&M after this. Stay close. The hot topic across the country this summer was health care reform and how members of Congress would vote on the issue. After months of debate, the bill passed, but District 17 Congressman Chet Edwards, a Democrat, voted against the legislation, saying he didn't think the cost of the bill could be covered. Republicans, including Edwards' challenger in this upcoming election, Bill Flores, say Democratic leadership allowed him to vote no because they had the votes without him. Now, we want to take you back to the live feed that we've been looking at from Chile tonight with the miners that are being rescued closer to breathing fresh air again. And then you can see right there, I believe that's the capsule that has just made it. It is the capsule that has just made it to the ground. We're waiting to see that first miner get out of that capsule, meet his family who've been waiting at Camp Hope this entire time for 2 months. These miners have been 2,000 feet below the surface, if you can even imagine that. The emotion, the anticipation to see the miner come out, and you hear the cheering, you hear the clapping, and you see him stepping out, the joy that these families are feeling at this moment, the kids that are walking forward, the hugs that you're seeing right there. Florencio Avalos, the first miner that has reached surface tonight. 32 other miners are waiting to be rescued. We're told this is going to be a 40-hour process to get the 33 miners up to safety. An emotional moment you're watching. We're all watching for the first time tonight. After 2 months, these Chilean miners are being rescued. The man convicted of the most infamous crime in Burleson County is now a free man. Anthony Graves was released from prison today. His case dismissed. Graves was accused of killing a Somerville grandmother, her daughter, and 4 grandchildren, and setting their house on fire in 1992. Graves was convicted in 1994 and sentenced to death row. But 4 years ago, his conviction was overturned because of a lack of evidence. The only evidence linking Graves to the crime was the testimony of co-defendant Robert Carter. Carter recanted that testimony several times, including right before his execution. Joining us on the phone is Burleson County District Attorney Bill Parham. Thanks for joining us.
You're quite welcome.
Well, we've been following this case for years. Texas Monthly recently published an article on this case, and a date was even set for Anthony Graves' retrial. And now he's a free man. What prompted his release?
Anthony Graves was innocent.
Wow. Did you see this coming?
No, actually, when we started, because there is no statute of limitations.
Okay, District Attorney Bill Parham, thanks so much for joining us. Governor Rick Perry issued a disaster proclamation for 19 counties today. In Houston, leaders are keeping a close eye on the storm. The Office of Emergency Management there is tracking Alex and is prepared to take whatever steps are needed for residents. Governor Perry has also activated about 2,500 members of the National Guard, along with state search and rescue crews, including Texas Task Force 1.
News 3's Meredith Stancik, who has covered this story since the day of the shootout, joins us live now from the Burleson County Courthouse in Caldwell, where all of today's developments have been taking place. Meredith.
You know, Joe, District Attorney Bill Parham tells us he was ready to go to trial, but today that changed. Reality set in for Myron Phillips, faced with death. And today he opted for life in prison without parole. Parham tells us it was ultimately the victim's children's decision.
We can go ahead, we'll seek the death. And that's what he needs to do for the rest of his sorry life.
Victim impact statements were read. We weren't allowed to record the sound, but I can tell you they were very emotional. Both of DJ Weichert's children addressed Phillips, both calling him a monster. And Weichert's daughter told Phillips, quote, "You took away my father, and I have no sympathy." After the sentencing, we were able to talk to the family, still reeling from today's events.
He'll be rotting now.
We're told Myron Phillips could be taken to prison as early as this evening. It is unclear where he'll serve out his sentence. Of course, coming up tonight at 10, we'll hear more from District Attorney Bill Parham and from the victim's family. Live in Caldwell, Meredith Stancik, News 3. If you recently bought deli meat from Walmart, listen up. The retail giant has announced a major recall. 380,000 pounds of deli meat sold in sandwiches at Walmart stores have been recalled by a New York food company. Officials say roast beef and ham might be contaminated with Listeria bacteria. The sandwiches are labeled market side grab and go. Luckily, so far, no illnesses have been linked to the meats. Now, you can find specific product information at KBTX.com. And coming up in just a few minutes, we'll hear from our new medical contributor about the signs and symptoms of Listeria. We're going to put you to work right away and talk about these latest health headlines. We had the story earlier about Walmart recalling thousands of pounds of meat that might contain Listeria bacteria. What is Listeria?
Well, first of all, the important word is might.
Okay.
Because you did say on your newscast that, but it's terribly treatable.
Signs and symptoms?
Signs and symptoms, your unborn child at risk.
Okay, good point. Well, yesterday we had a story about drinking water is going to help us all stay thin.
Yes.
It said 9 cups for women a day, 13 cups for men. Seems like a lot.
Well, I know. So.
Well, what if I drink my water through tea, hot tea or coffee? Does
what
that
do you
count?
think? What do you think? Of course it doesn't count. You silly goose. If you're drinking.
I was hoping. You were hoping.
No, if you're drinking.
It may have been raining earlier in the week, but right now the weather is perfect for a backyard barbecue. We find Bob in College Station. Bob, how's it going? Well, we've had some special guests join us today here at News 3. We want to take some time and say thanks to some journalism students from Prairie View A&M. They sat in on our afternoon meeting, watched how we got ready for the 5 o'clock news, and they also asked some great questions. Now, you might just see one of them sitting up here one day. They're naturals, aren't they?